Now, I would like to introduce Mark Minneboo, one of the world's foremost experts on plastic pollution and the concept of the circular economy. He serves as the Regional Director of Latin America for Plastic Oceans International, where he has developed a variety of programs based in education, science, and advocacy. Mark is also the co-founder and executive director of Plastic Oceans Chile, where he and his team have worked tirelessly to raise awareness and foster solutions for plastic pollution since, since 2017. He has played a key role in pushing Chile's transition towards a circular economy, including as a founding board member of the Chilean Plastics Pact. Thank you so much, Mark. Um, you may share your presentation.
Thank you very much, Anna, and thank you very much, Ash, for this invitation. I'm very happy to share my screen and my presentation with you. Here we go. See, please let me know if you can see the screen.
Yes, Mark, very well.
Great.
Thank you.
So,
And a warm welcome.
thank you very much, Ash. I'm going to try to present my normally 45-minute presentation in a 5-minute presentation. So if it goes very quick, or fortunately you can see this recording later, probably published somewhere, and you can take your time to see it again. So Plastic Oceans International, we are an international foundation, and we try to stop plastic pollution in many different ways. Today I want to explain you a bit more about what is ocean plastic pollution and also what is our relationship with plastic, because maybe what you not expect is we're not a foundation that is against plastic, but yes, we want to change the relationship we have with plastic to avoid this kind of situation like you see on your screen right now, because plastic pollution comes in many shapes and forms. Here you see a photo that we took last year in the island of Easter Island in the Pacific, where they have a very big plastic pollution issue. And this plastic that you see on the screen, this is not plastic from the people. This is plastic that floats around in the ocean, and unfortunately, through the southern Pacific gyre, ends up on the coastlines of Easter Island, and people have to deal with plastic that is not theirs, but it comes to their island anyway. So these are macroplastic, big pieces of plastic, but you also have microplastic, like you can see here with my colleague Vivi showing the little pieces, tiny fragments of plastic that happen after when plastic floats around the ocean, and for many years it fragments in little pieces and ends up also on the shores or on the bottom of the ocean. So many initiatives already exist to tackle this problem. Here you see us doing a microplastics workshop this year where we're teaching the children how to recognize microplastics, how to filter them from the beaches and the oceans. There are also other initiatives like, for instance, legislation, and all, of course, a lot of education. So what is this relationship we have with plastic? It's a bit of a love and hate relationship that has been continuing for about 70 years, because plastic is an amazing product, a man-made product, because it's very versatile. It's you can make a hard products out of it. You can make softer products out of it. You can make flexible products out of it. So it's a bit of a magical material. Also, it's very cheap. And because it's so very cheap, it has been able to be produced so massive on a very massive scale, and that's why you see plastic all around you. Plastic also is very lightweight, helping it for use in technology, for instance, or in transportation, in airplanes, in cars, etc. And last but not least, which is very good about plastic, is very durable. You can make products that do not lose their characteristics for hundreds and hundreds of years. But that, now we get to the hate part of the relationship we have with plastic. Because it's so durable, it lasts forever. And that is exactly the problem when plastic ends up in the environment. There it stays forever, contaminating, killing animals, and also ending up in the food chain. And what happens with plastic in the food chain is when it gets into the muscles and into the animals that in the end we as human beings eat, it also releases toxins. And these toxins can affect our health. Also, unfortunately, about 98% of all plastics in the world come from not renewable sources like petroleum and gas. So there we have another problem, and it contributes to climate change. And last but not least, plastic is not biodegradable. Many people think that plastic, when it fragments in these little pieces, in the end it disappears, but it really doesn't. It just becomes smaller and smaller and smaller, generating more and more damage, but it doesn't go away. So some little facts. Global plastic production in 2018 was about 359 million tons. That is just a number that we cannot imagine as human beings. How many football stations is that? How many how many beaches are that? We have no idea, but it's huge. Unfortunately, of all that plastic, only 9% is being recycled on a global scale. So globally, only 9% of those 359 million tons is being recycled. And that is a bit of a ridiculous fact, knowing that since the 70s and 80s, recycling already exists. And in those last 40 years, we only have been able to recycle 9%. That is a really, really low number, and that has to change. And it shows also that recycling only cannot solve this problem. We do need to look for more different solutions. Also, of these 359 million tons, about 40% is used for single-use plastic packaging, and that counts also for the biggest part of plastic pollution in the oceans and in the environment. Almost 40% single-use plastic packaging, products that have been designed for only one use and then throw away. And about 8 million tons of all this plastic ends up in the ocean on a yearly basis. That is about one garbage truck every minute. So, what is the real problem here? Is plastic the problem, or is the relationship we have with our environment? So, I want to use this opportunity to read this quote from Sir Gregory Bateson. He said a very long time ago, the major problems in the world are the result of the difference between how nature works and the way people think. And I think that is the key issue here. We have to think more like nature. The rules on this planet are the natural rules, not the human rules. So if we do not change the way we think, then we still and will have problems for a very long time. So very shortly, where does this problem come from in the relationship we have? The beginning of the industrial revolution, about 250, 260 years ago, the world was in a very different space, in a very different place. We had seemingly infinite resources. We could just extract everything we want, and it didn't really affect the planet. Also, the global population by then was about 770 million people. And last but not least, we had almost infinite space to just throw everything away. That was 270 years ago. Now we do not have infinite resources anymore. We know we're running out of resources. The global population is 10 times more than we had 270 years ago, and clearly we do not have infinite space to throw everything away. So I'm asking you, does it make sense to stick to the same rules we had at the beginning of the Industrial Revolution 270 years ago and keep applying those rules now in 2020 when we do not have infinite resources? The global population is almost 8 billion people, and we don't have space to keep throwing things away. It doesn't make sense to keep consuming and producing in the same way. So, what is the real problem here? The real problem is our linear production and consumption model. So, what is this linear production and consumption model? It's very easy. We extract resources, we produce products, we use them, and then we throw them away. That is the linear consumption model. And what kind of solutions are we looking for? Right now, mostly only at the end of this production and consumption model. It doesn't make sense that only at the end, when we already have created the problem, we start thinking, what are we going to do with this problem? So if we really want to make a change, we have to start at the beginning, not extract more resources. We have to design in a different way, we have to produce in a different way, and we have to consume in a different way. As a matter of fact, we have to stop consuming and we have to start using. That is the future for production and consumption. We have to start making sure that we don't find solutions at the end, but we start looking for solutions at the beginning. So again, a question for you. Does it make sense that on a planet with finite resources and without the capacity to process plastics, because nature cannot break down these plastic polymers, is it is it does it make sense for you to continue with a linear economic model, or should we start shifting the way we think, the way our system works, not only the materials we use, but also the way we produce and the way we use? So if we look at the ecosystem, thinking back of what are the real rules on our planet, and we look at an ecosystem, there are some rules that we have to start applying. First of all, an ecosystem or our planet sustains itself. It doesn't extract more resources. It regenerates by itself. It doesn't generate waste, because the waste one organism generates is food and a resource for another one. It uses only renewable energy. As I already said, it doesn't use any resource extraction, and it's collaborative. And I think that is one of the key issues here that I've heard today with the other presentations as well. We need to work together. We cannot keep pointing the finger to others that have created the problem. We have to work together and solve this problem. A teacher and a friend of mine, he said once, if you point the finger to somebody or an organism or the government, you still have three fingers pointing at yourself. If you try it right now, point your finger to the screen, look at how many fingers are pointing to yourself. I think that was a really eye opener for me. Point the finger to one, and you have three fingers pointing to yourself. So you have to start changing. So what are the solutions? Again, thinking about the SDGs, of course, as Plastic Oceans, we work very hard to think and work for protect the life below water, but we cannot do it without thinking about, okay, what is really economic growth? What do sustainable cities and communities look like? What is really responsible consumption and production? And in the end, also number SDG number 17. What are the partnerships that I need? We have to work together with citizens. We have to work together with companies. We need governments, both local, national, and also international, to come up with legislation and rules to make sure that some products really should not exist anymore. We need a lot of science. We have to know what's really going on in our oceans and also in our bodies, and we need education. Not only of the future generations, we need education of everybody right now. Also, me, us, my generation, everybody needs to be educated better. So my invitation to all of you is be part of this movement, be part of the POP movement, be part of the Plastic Oceans movement. Visit our website, plasticoceans.org, or follow us on social media. And for the people who today are logged in on their computers and have a cell phone with them, if you open your camera and you scan this code that I'm projecting here on the screen, you can go to our Plastic Oceans films page where you have a whole library of short films about plastic pollution and solutions. So I invite you to scan it, go to that website, or go to our social media. And if you have more questions, please send me an email. I'm happy to respond and work together to find solutions for plastic pollution. So that was my 5-minute presentation. I hope you liked it. And if you have questions, please leave them in the chat.
Thank you, Mark, for such an amazing presentation. I'm sure all the attendees will benefit from all of this new information that they have, and they'll definitely make a change with that analogy you made about pointing fingers. I like it.